All right, everyone, here's a funny story from Vermont, which is that activists have been defacing BLM murals, according to the Vermont government. This story is highly amusing. But what happened is that the state of Vermont decided, I think it's in Montpelier if I remember correctly, they decided to have like a Black Lives Matter mural, and they painted it on a public road. Now keep in mind, public road, traffic goes over it. Anything that's painted on it will slowly be eroded over time. I'll get into the legal connotations of that fact in a moment. And it's taxpayer funded. They've decided to put a blatantly political message because BLM at large is a group. It's an organization. With Marxist ties, I will, by the way, point out. The concept of Black Lives Mattering is totally separate from BLM, the organization. The problem is that if you're writing that on the road, with the political connotations that it has, would this not negate the concept that the government is not supposed to be putting that sort of political placard on something taxpayer funded? That's a problem, number one. Number two, they're saying that someone tried to deface it. Now, what they did is they revved up their engine and shot across this mural, which is literally just paint, leaving a skid mark on it. Drive on Vermont roads sometime. I'm going to talk to the governor here because he's the one, he's all pissy about this because he's a rhinocon. Drive on our state's road sometime. How many skid marks do you see? Lots and lots of them. Are they defacing, are they guilty of vandalism when this happens? Whether it's on purpose or on accident, because so many times I see people, they rev it up at a stop sign, they go shooting off, leaving a great big skid mark. I have never to this day heard of anyone being guilty of vandalism because of this. If you wanted to make a charge, the only one I think that would legally stick would be reckless driving. Unfortunately, they probably won't catch the person who did this. It's funny, the mural, we're so peaceful and tolerant and loving. This mural is it's not politically edgy at all, but, you know, people keep trying to leave skid marks on it. How is that defacing it? The problem is that with a legal differentiation here, if you simply drive over the mural normally, you are defacing it, I suppose. Well, it's on public property, but you're still eroding it away now, aren't you? Every wheel that goes over this mural is taking a little bit of the paint away. When it rains, is the rain defacing public property? And again, this is a taxpayer-funded public road that people have the right to drive on. How can you justify that a person, if they were to shoot off leaving a skid mark at the next intersection, nobody cares, but all of a sudden you decided to put in a public road knowing traffic would go over it, and you expect this not to happen? It's just ill-fated. It's a dumb idea anyway. There was another one that got defaced else, I think in Burlington, where they painted over the black part and made it all, and everyone was up in arms. It's sort of like when people leave "It's okay to be white" posters somewhere and people freak out and think Nazis are there. Well, no, people, number one, are satirizing your Karen cancel culture. Number two, they're pointing out that all lives matter is more expansive than just Black Lives Matter, and that you're being a political goofball. This mural should not exist on a taxpayer-funded public road. It shouldn't be there. Why doesn't Phil Scott paint Black Lives Matter on front of his mansion? Why don't you do that? Why don't you just have a banner out in front of the State House or something? Why don't you do that? Are you trying to get tourist money? Well, look at this. Here's the problem. Vermonters are relatively open, tolerant individuals. That much is true. But we don't like this kind of PC bullshit. It really isn't a thing in the state of Vermont. Yes, I understand Vermont's far left and stuff. Trust me, most of the people that I've ever heard tell a racial joke are Democrats. They're on the left. It's not some hick from out in Shrewsbury or something like that. It's some UVM kid, half of them not even from the state of Vermont. Vermonters are very open and tolerant, but they don't really like this kind of in-your-face craptivism. I know it because I'm a Vermonter, because I've lived most of my life in Vermont. Although I was born in New Hampshire, the next day I started living in Woodstock, Vermont. Later, moved to Rutland, Vermont. I kind of sort of was living in Burlington, if you count a dorm at UVM. I've been in Vermont most of my life, about 28 years out of my life in total. Of course, I've been in the Netherlands and lived in Texas, Florida, a few other places for short times. Mainly it's Vermont, though. I know the culture extremely well, both the urban hipster culture of a place like Burlington and the rich people culture of Woodstock, and then the more working class sort of almost swing state within a blue state culture of Rutland. Vermonters don't like this sort of thing. Putting this on a public road is going to cause problems. Remember when they did that study, Phil, about 3 years ago, where they determined that Vermonters, above all other groups within the U.S., were most likely to leave toxic comments on websites? I was very proud. Vermont has a troll culture. It's essentially the trolliest state in the United States. Now, eat your heart out, Australia and Canada. I guess Vermont at least is number 3 in the world for shitposting very edgy content. I just look at Pixel Planet. But this isn't defacing anyway. The only thing I can think of that would maybe stick is reckless driving. If there was nobody else, though, there at the time, simply causing a skid mark, how would that even be reckless driving? Like, let's say a squirrel comes out in front of your car, right in front of this mural, and you slam on the brakes and you're skidding across the mural. Oh my God, I accidentally defaced the BLM mural. Oh my God, let me get out and do penance. What are you supposed to do? Do you have to get out and kneel in front of it until the people come to repaint it? Take a knee in front of the BLM worship altar or something? Fuck that shit. It's gonna keep getting defaced. People are gonna find other ways to troll the mural too, until finally you have no choice but to get rid of it. Unless you want to have that section of road go around it and literally rope it off. So this is the permanent BLM memorial to make sure that everyone bows before their Marxist masters. That's the problem I have with it. The problem is that nobody can differentiate really between the organization and the concept. The concept of Black Lives Mattering, of course, I think that 99.9% of the population gets that. What people aren't going to get is why it's necessary to have this here when it's just going to cause problems. It's not going to, but someone driving over it isn't magically infused with BLM power from the Hotep movement and all of a sudden starts, believing in black supremacy. It's not like a magical icon or something. It's just the fucking government wasting more goddamn money. They're doing this in New York as well, right in front of Trump Tower. De Blasio is involved with that. Yeah, just ignore the riots, ignore all the assaults and the extra shootings and the fact that I'm not defending the people of the city. Look, I put some paint on a road that'll quickly get washed away by all the fucking stinking smog filtering down through the rain like goddamn drip coffee, washing everything away in a haze of acid and smog. Yeah, I did my part, says de Blasio. He takes a knee. Take a knee in the wet paint and then look like an embarrassment. Rub your crotch all over the wet yellow paint so it looks like you pissed yourself with stale popcorn piss, de Blasio. And Phil Scott should do the same thing. Why don't you take a knee? Sit there on your knee until your arthritis acts up, dude. That's about all. Peace out.